slip, which can be found outside either of the doors. You can turn those in here at the desk.
We don't have no cab services this month, too. On this, the first part of next month. Okay.
Good yourself.
Don't worry about it. Exactly. Because of these gentlemen right here, this is the reason we were able to donate 2,000 birch to the Pine Rivers. Because we're all trying to do a community together. We open these lawns together, don't charge the old people. We're just trying to bring community together. Almost like. All right. Yeah.
Oh.
Any snow down?
I could do no. You could. This morning.
It's like 2 inches.
But it's the first flush.
I know.
Yeah, they plowed. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That's Steve.
We get too far in, I'm a little worried about the
Should have thrown it in the car.
I got old.
Would make it or not. We did. Yeah. I had to be there at 2. Well, up there, plenty of time. Roads are still a little sloppy. I see. That's going to morning, probably have to struggle with it. Didn't see anybody with ditch if they were, they got all the roads.
So second part of the coming back.
As they go so slow, you know. That's why I kind of lose control of going so slow.
Yeah.
At 80 years old. Jesus. Yeah. Yeah.
Believe me, this went on for 360. Gas. I try to put it since I don't get this. This is.
All right, I will call this meeting of the Waushara County Planning and Zoning Committee to order. This meeting will begin with a public hearing. Anyone other than the applicant or their representative wishing to speak must register and submit the registration slip to the zoning administrator at this time. Following the hearing, we will conduct our monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave following the hearing. The applicant and town board will be sent a copy of tonight's decisions. Any other person wishing to receive a copy of a decision can sign the sheet on the table at the front of the room. Those of you wishing immediate knowledge of the outcome of these proceedings may call the county zoning office tomorrow morning. The procedure we will follow for hearing each application is as follows. After each application is read, the applicant, their agent or representative will be asked to present their application, followed by any questions or comments from the committee. Then all correspondence will be read. Then others in favor will have a chance to speak. Anyone objecting will then have a chance to speak. I will then ask for a summary of the committee's field observations and any staff comments. Finally, the applicant will be allowed a chance for a short rebuttal if they wish. Anyone wishing to speak should use the microphone, should state their name and direct their comments to the committee. I ask that all testimony be kept brief, no more than 5 minutes, and to the point. If you are testifying as a nearby landowner, please tell us where your property is located relative to the subject property. Tonight's hearing will be recorded, and the recording will become part of the record. Comments that are based on hearsay or secondhand information, as well as slanderous or prejudicial remarks, will be ruled out of order. The committee has looked at all of the properties, and the record will reflect these observations. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this committee has 10 days from the filing of tonight's decision to make an appeal to circuit court. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 10-day period. I will now introduce the committee. Robert Wadel, Patrick King, John Van Amerongen, and Bart Peterson. I'm Dave Boshart, and my right is the zoning administrator, Todd Waller, and Becky Hubach is acting as our secretary. First item is a request for a conditional use. John and Karen Brusso of Berlin, Wisconsin, have made an application for a conditional use in accordance with sections 58-236, paragraph 10, and 58-454, paragraph 31 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to place a used 16 by 70 3-bedroom mobile home on a concrete slab in the AG General Agricultural Zone. Location: an approximate 2-acre parcel of land that is known as Lot 2 of Certified Survey Map 6700, Section 29, Town 19 North, Range 13 East, Town of Poisippi, 32nd Lane. Would the applicant please come forward? And if you would please just give us a summary of what you're intending to do on the site.
At this time, we're just updating this used trailer. We won't be moving in until it's totally done, but it needs work, as they saw yesterday. That they've told us what they want on the outside. And there's a lot of work on the inside. We need to put on the flooring, so on. That's all.
All right. Is there any correspondence on this property?
There is. We received an email from Sue Albright, the town clerk, and I'm going to read that into the record. It says, "Good afternoon, Becky. At our regular meeting on November 11th, the Poisippi Town Board unanimously voted to approve John and Karen Brusso's conditional use to place a used 16-foot by 70-foot mobile home on a concrete slab located on 32nd Lane. Any further questions, feel free to contact Sue Albright, the clerk." That's all we have.
Okay. I don't have any questions for this one. Did anybody on the committee have any questions? No, all right. Anybody in favor?
We have nobody registered to speak in favor, objecting, or information.
All right, then staff comments.
Okay, everyone should have a copy of the final staff report. I'm just going to provide a quick summary. The applicants, John and Karen Brusso, owners of the property, are requesting a conditional use to place a used 16 by 73 bedroom mobile home on a concrete foundation in an AG general agricultural zone in the town of Poisippi. Excuse me. Without getting too far into the weeds, you can see my narrative's kind of extensive there. But without getting too in depth on it, this comes to us by way of an after the fact request due to pending violations on the property with regard to multiple town or mobile homes. One of which has been removed, the second of which has never received a conditional use. As a result of the pending violations, this was turned over to the courts on July 15th of 2024. The court did issue a default of a citation issued for the violations. And basically the judgment was to just bring the property back into compliance by September 1st. Unfortunately, that day, came and went. Corporate counsel ultimately got involved in an attempt to work with the Brussos, agreed to give them yet another extension. And finally, the Brussos are here and that's submitting after the fact a conditional use request to place said used mobile home on the premises. Planning and Zoning Committee visited the property at the recent on-sites on Monday, November 20th, and were generally supportive of the request. While the committee was supportive, they wanted to ensure that all proposed improvements were done in a timely manner, consistent with other similar requests recently approved, so as to ensure that the area property values are maintained. Understanding the amount of work needed to bring the home back to a like-new condition and the amount of time needed to compile the necessary documentation for permits, the committee was agreeable to extend a little extra time to make application. Staff's reviewed this request and has always been supportive of the adaptive reuse of structures as long as they're brought back to and maintained like new condition. While it's been over a year since this matter was first identified by staff, it's always been our priority and obviously that of the courts to work with residents of the county so as to bring their properties into compliance rather than to evict them. Should the applicant complete the work identified in the conditions listed below in a timely manner, said structure could meet the intent of the zoning code, would not aesthetically detract from the area, and could actually aid in maintaining area property values. While the committee will be making a recommendation on this request later in the evening, staff is recommending approval of the conditional use, noted the conditions listed below. And I know that applicants have asked me just to kind of state a couple of the conditions. And as we did discuss is that number 3, within 60 days, all permits must be obtained, including land use, building, and sanitary. And then number 4 is by May 1st, 2025, the applicant shall replace any damaged siding, replace the front window, install new skirting, and build new exterior steps and landings. And for the record, those were the requests that the applicant had placed in the application. With regard to that, then there's just some additional with regard to driveways and a travel trailer noted, but that's it.
All right. Do you have any rebuttal for any of that? All right, you may have a seat and we'll take this up when we go to our business meeting. Next on the agenda is a request for a zoning change. Stephen Gabrielson of Pine River, Wisconsin has made an application for a zone change of approximately 0.6 acres in accordance with section 58-131 through 138 and 58-661 of the Waushara County zoning code from RS20 residential to CG general commercial to allow the area to be used for retail sales in a commercial building. Location, a 0.6 acre parcel of land known as part of the southwest quarter of the northeast quarter, Lot 1 in the north half of Lot 2, Block L of the village of Pine River and part of vacated Mill Street, Section 4, Township 19 North, Range 12 East, Town of Leon, N 4738, County Road E is the applicant present. All right, would you come on up and just give us a brief summary of what you're planning to do on the site.
Well, thank you for listening to me. Been on having a thrift resale store and helping the community, and of course when I started rummage sale, this stuff just started pouring in. I said, Steve, you need to get a building. I said, I need to get a building. I need to get this cleaned up because happy wife, happy life. And I try to give the community and give back to the community. friends that came with me are community oriented. We all want to help each other. We're just trying to do something good, and it would be a supplemental income for me as I get close to retirement.
And so I have a few questions and then the board may have some questions. And you have talked to the town regarding this project?
Excuse me?
You have talked to the town regarding this project?
Yes, sir. I went around like a gentleman and got people's signatures. Anybody that would be involved. The community and myself are just trying to help each other.
Okay. Have you talked to your immediate neighbors?
Yes, sir, I did.
Those are the questions I have. Any other questions from the committee? All right, you can have a seat, and if you need to
Thank you.
give a rebuttal, we'll have you back up. Any correspondence?
Yes, as part of the application, the county did receive a petition that was signed by over 120 individuals supporting the request. The zoning office has yet to receive any official notice from, and indicating support from the town. However, it has been brought to our attention that the town does support said change. Keep in mind, any zone change ultimately requires approval from all three bodies, the town, the county, and planning and zoning. So ultimately, the town will have an opportunity to weigh in on this when they're given an opportunity. We did receive today a email from Patty Weber, and I'd like to read it into the record. I have a few concerns. As I understand it, the zoning change is for the whole area and cannot be divided. Therefore, my request. Number one, no business be done on the north half of Lot 2, Block L. Reason, this is a small section that runs behind my house. I neither want the mess or public access to the back of my property. 2, if Stephen chooses to put a fence between the two properties, that a survey be required prior at his expense. 3, that there would be no access off Pine Street to his property. This would include the vacated Franklin Street. It has been said that there has been traffic in the vacated Franklin Street area. If so, it needs to stop and not happen again. Number 4, the amount of stuff outside is an eyesore. It has been said that there is a signed petition in favor of Stephen's request. I have no doubt that people want the area cleaned up. To me, it looks like an unorganized junkyard. It would be my request that the area be cleaned up and that all debris, trash, and stuff, not sure what to call it, be stored inside a building, excuse me, or off the property. Thank you for your time, Patty Weber.
Thank you. Anybody registered to speak?
We have nobody registered.
All right. Staff comments.
Okay, once again, just a quick summary of the request. The applicant, Stephen Gabrielson, owner of the property, is requesting a zone change of an approximate 0.6 acre lot from RS20 residential single family to CG general commercial to allow retail sales in a commercial building in the town of Leon. Excuse me. The town in question is located in the central core of the Pine River area and has historically been used and zoned for retail sales. It was back in 2014 that the property underwent a zone change from CG to RS20 due to the fact that the property owners at that time wished to reside on the residence rather than conduct any retail business. The property underwent an additional change in ownership, and that is here we are today with the owner is now requesting to go seek the property to be rezoned back from residential to commercial. As per the submitted narrative, the applicant seeks to utilize the store or the site for thrift and retail type new and used home, garden, lawn, antiques, fishing, and sporting goods, with hours of operation anticipated to be Monday through Saturday, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. or by appointment. It should be noted that the proposed change in zoning does align with the town's comprehensive plan, the future land use maps, which are depicting the property as commercial. The Planning and Zoning Committee visited the property at the recent on-sites on Wednesday, November 20th, and were generally supportive of the zone change request. The committee did, however, voice concern over the amount of exterior items either being stored or displayed upon the property currently, as well as throughout the years, and wanted to ensure that the property is cleaned up with any future change in use. In addition, the committee wanted to limit the number of exterior sales events that should the property be zoned back to commercial. Staff has reviewed this request and believes a change in zoning from residential commercial is in keeping with the town's future land use plan as depicted in the town's comprehensive future land use maps. Staff also believes the applicant has made significant improvements in terms of cleaning up the property. And given the fact that Mr. Gabrielson has basically been in agreement with the concerns expressed by the committee, said zone change and future improvements could actually improve property values in the central core of Pine River. While the committee will be making a recommendation on this request later in the evening, staff is recommending approval of the zone change from RS20 back to CG, general commercial.
All right, thank you. Is there anything you would like to address, Mr. Gabrielson?
I just thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, that will end the public hearing aspect of this meeting. We'll move into our business meeting. First on the agenda is to roll call, which Becky has, I would assume. And then next, we have the agenda presented, gentlemen.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Bob Waddle,
Second.
second by Pat King. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Gentlemen, you've been provided with the minutes from our meeting on Wednesday. Entertain a motion to approve those.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Bart, second by John. Any corrections? Hearing none. Motion to vote by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Minutes passed. Next, we have unfinished business.
So-
We do have one item.
Yes, we do have one item as a result of yesterday's business meeting. One of the requests was to have staff go back out to the Metosich, and Boone property to check on the status of the conditional use with the used mobile home. Tom Barker went out there yesterday, and just for the record, no additional improvements, nothing's been done to that unit. So we do have a request from staff to rescind the conditional use.
All right, gentlemen,
I'll make a motion to rescind.
motion to rescind by Mr. Peterson. Second by Mr. Van Amergren. Any discussion? Gentlemen, signify by saying aye to rescind. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion to rescind is passed. On to new business, action on public hearing applications. The first we have is a conditional use for John and Karen Russo. Place that 16 by 73 bedroom mobile home on a concrete foundation in an AG general agricultural zone in the town of Boise.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Waddle to approve,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Peterson. Is there any discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none. Go to vote, signify by saying aye. 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 Sorry. Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Mr. Waddle, would you go ahead and read the possible reasons for approval?
After reviewing the application and considering all testimony, if approved with conditions, will not harm the public nor neighboring land uses. The testimony, there was no testimony in opposition. The proposal could match the lot and available area side. That is all for.
All right. Mr. Peterson, could you read the possible conditions?
Yes, therefore, the requested application, if approved, the following conditions shall apply. The development must be in substantial compliance with the site plan and testimony provided at the public hearing. All the required setbacks, all the codes must be complied with. Within 60 days, all permits must be obtained, including land use, building, and sanitary. By May 1st, 2025, the applicant shall replace any damaged siding, replace the front window, and install new skirting and building a new exterior steps and landing. The existing travel trailer noted on the property must not be stored in accordance with the county code regarding storage of an unoccupied camping travel trailer. Adequate parking must be provided. The driveway shall meet all required codes, including fire and access code requirements to provide for access by emergency vehicles. In addition, the driveway shall provide good visibility and a turnaround area to prevent backing into the road. The applicant will allow agents of Waushara County access to the property to ensure compliance with all applicable regulations. The foundation, water and sewer and electrical connections must be conformed with uniform dwelling code requirements.
All right, and hearing the reasons and conditions, I will ask for a roll call vote. Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Waddle,
Excuse me, yes.
Mr. Van Amergren, approve. Mr. Peterson,
I approve.
and myself, I approve. Congratulations. Next, we have the zone change request for Mr. Steve Gabrielson for the property to rezone a 0.6 acre lot from RS 20 to CG to allow for retail sales in the town of Leon. Do we have a motion, gentlemen?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Mr. Waddle, and a second? Second. Second by Mr. Van Amergren. And Mr. Waddle, would you read the possible reasons for approval?
Excuse me. After reviewing the application and considered the testimony, the applicant, if approved, with conditions, will not harm the public or neighboring land uses. Visibility is good at the driveway location and traffic is slowed here. There are no public safety issues. Proposal matches the goals of the zone and provides suitable area for commercial development. The town board has not yet commented on this proposal. It is up to the town's planning commission and the town of Leon to determine whether this proposal is in compliance with the town's approved land use plan.
All right, Mr. Van Amergren, would you please read the approval conditions?
The department must be in substantial compliance, the development must be in substantial compliance with the site plan and testimony provided at the public hearing. All required setbacks must be complied with, and all other codes must be adhered to. All permits must be obtained, including land use, building, and sanitary. Any future building used in conjunction with the retail business shall be all, what am I missing there? The retail business shall meet all applicable commercial building code requirements. The existing travel trailer currently being stored on the property shall be removed within 60 days of approval of a change in zoning. Exterior sales events such as sidewalk sales shall be limited to no more than 2 events per year, with each event limited to no more than 2 days in duration. There shall be no exterior storage of supplies, materials, or commercial items. It is the responsibility of the applicant to contact the building inspector to determine applicability of commercial building permits and improvements, if any, needed to be existing buildings. Adequate parking must be provided. All driveways shall meet all required codes, including fire and access code requirements, to provide for access by emergency vehicles. In addition, the driveway shall provide good visibility and turnaround area to prevent backing onto the road. The applicant will allow agents of Waushara County access to the property to ensure compliance with all applicable regulations. The applicant is now forwarded to the Waushara County Board of Supervisors and the town of Leon for their consideration. The town board is responsible for determining whether this application, if approved, is in compliance with the town's approved land use plan.
Gentlemen, hearing the reasons and conditions for the approval of this request for rezone, Ask for a roll call vote. Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Waddle,
Yes.
Mr. Van Ameron,
Approved.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
and I approve as well. Thank you. Congratulations. Next on the agenda, review of possible action on any requests for extension of land use permits.
We have no requests.
Any minor changes on previously approved public hearing applications?
We have none as well.
Review of next month's public hearing applications for time and route planning purposes.
We do have one conditional use request submitted. Correct? I know we have one, I thought we had one conditional use variance. For sure. Oh, it's the used home, Terry,
Yes.
Hochstadt's used home.
Yes, one.
Okay, one for sure. All right. Financial reports for yesterday.
Yep, really have nothing more to add.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Having no more business, this board is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, John. Have a good night. Yep. Drive safe.
Hey, John.
Too much.
I know.
How's your end?
Yeah, clean bill of health so far.
That means we're ready? Here, everybody. I'll call this meeting of Waushara County Board of Adjustments to order. This meeting will be conducted in the same manner as the application served by the Planning and Zoning Committee. Please remember to keep your comments brief and relative to the matter at hand. Anyone other than the applicant or the representative wishing to speak at this hearing must have registered. Anyone who has not should do so immediately and submit the registration slip to the zoning administrator. The board has looked at all of the properties and the record will reflect their observations. Following the public hearing, the board will conduct their monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, and you may leave following the public hearing. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this board has 30 days from the filing of tonight's decision to file an appeal. Such appeals are heard by the Waushara County Circuit Court. Information on appeals is available from the clerk of court's office and qualified legal counsel. The county assumes no liability, makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 30-day period. I'll now introduce the board directly across from me: John Shirk, George Peterman, John Bentz, Jess Urban, and I'm Kevin Fitzgerald. Our first variance tonight, tabled from October 17th, 2024 meeting. Habitat for Humanity LLC buyer Jed White, Wautoma, Wisconsin, has made application for a variance according to section 58-826 sub D of the Washington County zoning code to construct a 40 by 60-foot shop with an attached 24 by 22 office to come inside the 300-foot required visual clearance in the commercial service zone. Location, a parcel of land known as part of the NW1 quarter, lot 2, CSM number 105, section 1, T18N, R10E, Town of Dakota, address N2477 18th Avenue. Will the applicant please come forward? He is. Please state your name for the record and tell us a little bit about the project.
All right, my name is Jed Wise. First of all, I want to thank you guys for considering my application for the variance. I'm assuming that you all have a copy of my plans and my site plan. So I am requesting to construct a shop in the visual corridor that is restricted on the corner of this property. I'm trying to do this as minimally as possible. And my reasoning for trying to construct within the visual corridor is to provide room behind the shop in the building so that I can store what would be like weather resistant material and or equipment and keep that out of the public view. I think that's an important aspect to my request for this variance because I am trying to eliminate or avoid having clutter out in the view of the roadway and the public, and to have a very nice, appealing storefront for the community.
Okay, I have a few questions for you.
Sure.
Answer them best as you can. Then the board might have some questions for you. You have submitted the property survey that we requested. We tabled this from our last meeting. Thank you for doing that. So we have a current survey. You're sure of the road right away now?
Correct, yes.
Okay, there's one on Highway 21 and then also on the side road, so we're good there, right?
Yep.
Have you talked to the township about this?
I did talk to, I think it was Tony Peterson, I think back in the beginning. Oh, yes, I did.
Town of Dakota?
Yeah. Am I saying, am I right? Is Tony the?
I think you said, I think they changed.
Dave Chase, okay, I apologize, I might have the wrong.
Yeah, but the town has been notified and we haven't received anything.
Okay, all right.
How are we gonna deal with erosion and stormwater runoff on this property?
Well, I'm planning on following whatever is required in my state approved plans, which I will be having done upon approval.
What kind of foundation you're gonna have on this property?
It's gonna be a poured concrete foundation, a 4-foot frost wall with a slab on grade inside.
Will it be level or elevated existing grade? What do you think you're gonna have to do there?
My intentions are to level some of the rising grade in the back, which is gonna create that storage area that I'd like to have. And the reason for doing a 4-foot frost wall is to kind of minimize the amount of grading I would have to do. So if there's an elevation change throughout the course of the length of the building, the frost wall will be level, obviously, and then I can have the grading and instead of having like a slab on grade where I would have to do a ton of like leveling work there. It doesn't seem very feasible with the shape of that lot.
Okay. What will the finished height of the building be?
I believe I had it on my plan, but I want to say it was 26 feet.
Okay. Any other improvements planned?
Not at this time. I mean, the only thing I could say is that I am planning on having a fence in the back to keep.
I was gonna ask you about that. Is that a residence behind you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
If you're gonna use that area behind the building for storage, are you gonna need a fence for security?
For security and for safety. I mean, cause I know there's a lot of little kids and stuff that, you know, they would be out playing or messing around. I wouldn't want anybody to be able to get in there. So my intentions are to fence from the building as close as I can to that property and in the back on 18th Avenue, and then along my access on the 18th side with a gate.
What kind of fence would, just my personal question, what kind of fence are you planning? If you're gonna have trucks backing in and out there, will that be not favorable to the neighbors with trucks backing in and out making noise, or can you put a solid fence, or it'd be a cyclone fence, or?
Well, I think it would be a type of solid fence. I guess I really haven't looked into the material. I'm almost thinking like one of those chain link fences that has the slats in it, or, you know, maybe something I would build. I don't know.
You're the builder.
Yeah.
Kevin, if I could, just for the record, county code does require that if there's any exterior storage adjacent to residences, even in commercial properties, it would have to be behind a solid fence. Now, it doesn't have to be wood, a solid fence, it's, when we refer to solid, it's just not being able to visually see, you know, what's there, so he could do, you know, wire with slats.
Perfect, thank you. Is that a city sewer hookup there? Sanitary?
Yeah, it's solely sanitary.
What about a well?
We will be putting a well in.
Other options? Pretty tight in that corner.
Yeah, correct.
What are the hardships and unique property limitations which would support your request?
Well, I think first of all is that over or about 2/3 of the property are unusable because of that visual corridor. And I think that, you know, that's also as a unique property limitation and a hardship. And I would say that by moving the building all the way to the back, all the way to that setback on the to the trailer court, that would make the building pretty much unusable for me.
The front of the building, the visual corridor, do you have any, what landscaping in the front or parking lot, or what are your ideas there?
Yeah, I'm intending on having a nice parking spot, which would be to the east of what is gonna be my, like, office and bathroom area. And then on the gable end of that portion, I'm intending on having my signage on that. And then, you know, I would imagine we would be doing landscaping.
My question is, how do we guarantee us that that visual corridor is gonna remain open? You know, if you're gonna have trucks and semis and vehicles parked, is the visual corridor gonna be plugged up that?
I get what you're saying. So my intention is to have that lot in front of the building completely open. I'm not planting trees.
Yeah.
I'm not putting in, I'm not intending on putting in big signage or anything like that. And if I were to have like a semi delivery, that's gonna be done behind the building. The parking in the front will be for me and, you know, maybe my employees will be parking in the back as well, so.
Perfect. Permits, you know what you'll need, you're in the building trade, right? When do you wanna start this project if it was approved?
Well, I know there's gonna be probably a lengthy process in getting my state approved plans, and engineering done, so I'm intending to probably start in the spring at this point. Cause I'm assuming we're gonna have a winter. If not, maybe sooner, but
Get started.
yeah.
It's over. That was it.
Good.
I don't have any further questions of John.
No, I have not, George.
I have no questions.
John, that's.
Will your signage be on the building or will it be a billboard type sign or?
I'm planning on having it on the building, and that's kind of, if you look at my plan, I had like a larger gable end off that little office area, so.
Just. No further questions. Please have a seat, and if you need a rebuttal, we'll give you one. Correspondence.
We have received no correspondence and we have nobody registered to speak.
Staff comments.
Okay, as you all recall, this item was reviewed at last month's hearing. However, given the fact that it was a little unclear as to exactly what the extent of the encroachment was upon the visual corridor, there was a request made to have a platted survey, a detailed survey and site plan illustrating the actual encroachment, of which we now have. As you can see on there, from the map, nearly 2/3 of the property is lost due to the visual triangle, yet only a very small section or corner of the building will protrude into said area. Vast majority of the site, based upon comments and testimony, is that the remaining site will be left open for at-grade parking and should in no way impede or obstruct visibility. Staff's reviewed this request and believes that the applicant has gone to great lengths to meet the intent behind that of the visual clearance triangle. Said building will be set back much greater than any adjacent improved lot next to him, either on the east or the west side, as well as many other properties along State Highway 21. It should in no way impair or impede public safety, given the fact that it's just a small corner of the building that's actually protruding. Plus, it should be noted that the site will maintain a large open area in front of the building, and that adjacent intersection is a controlled intersection via a stop sign. While the board will be making a recommendation on this request later in the evening, staff's recommending approval of the variance to construct a 40-by-60 shop with an attached 22-by-24 office to come inside the required 300-foot visual clearance triangle at State Highways 21 and 18th Avenue. That's all I have.
Thank you, Todd. Any questions of Todd? Nope. Hearing none, we will go to our second variance. Andrew, I don't want to butcher this name, Adnick, Madison, Wisconsin, has made an application for a variance after the fact in accordance with sections 58-235 sub 5 sub A and 58-541 sub C sub 2 of the Washington County zoning code, exceeding maintenance and repair to construct a 12-foot by 12-foot addition onto a 30-foot by 45-foot non-conforming single-family dwelling, non-conforming due the existing home being less than half the required setback to the east lot line in a RS 20 residential zone within the shoreline area on Morris Lake. A parcel of land known as lots 2 and 3 of the Morris Lake View subdivision, section 17, P19N, R11E, Town of Mount Morris, West 6537, Simonson Lane. Will the applicant please come forward?
Mr. Chairman, given the fact that we do not have an applicant here this evening, and based upon my staff report, in which there are a number of outstandings, and I think some clarifications that need to be made, I would make a recommendation that we table this. Given the amount of work that probably is going to be done, I would probably ask that we table this till the new year, maybe January. But before we do that, I just wanted to discuss something very briefly, because this is contention on behalf of the attorney. I gave you all a copy of the Morris Lake View subdivision plat, and I just wanted to highlight just a few things. I've highlighted down in the corner the lots 2 and 3. Those are the subject parcels which the house resides on. You can see out in front there's Lakeview Drive, and then also Simonson Lane. I talk about that because the other things I've highlighted in the legal description, it actually talks about beginning also for right-of-way and purposes, a piece of land, and then they give a legal description, which does encompass this map. Also, the owners clearly state on here, the area to be surveyed, divided, mapped, and dedicated. Thereby, that is a public roadway, regardless of who maintains it, or if it doesn't get maintained, that does not change the status of the roadway. I know that was one of the contentions of the attorney, is that since it's not maintained, is that it becomes private, and by default, there are no setbacks. We don't have any provision like that in our code. But also, I just want to point out that we have not received any vacation orders or platted vacations that would change the state of that roadway out in front of the home. But I guess at this point, I recommend that we table this. In the interim, I will contact the owner and the attorney, informing them of the fact that this is being tabled and what information is being requested of them.
Just a point of information on that. Simonson property or Simonson Lane. When I looked, and I don't know if I have it here or I looked online. But the code for tax purposes on that road is 7777. And that means it's not owned by anyone, the township.
That that means,
It's
that-
open to the public.
correct. Correct. It's open to the public, even though they consider it to be private, it's still public right of way. It's just not being maintained.
Yeah.
The town is elected, even though it's been dedicated to them, and we have this throughout the county. Where the towns have just decided that, it's not in our budget to maintain those roadways. Homeowners have taken it upon themselves to develop easement agreements and shared access and improvement agreements. Where they take that responsibility upon themselves.
The reason I bring that up is that they don't own to the middle of the road there.
Correct.
I mean, if it's 777, it's like the accesses on our lake are all code 77
Correct.
for the town of Marion for tax purposes.
It is no different than any publicly dedicated roadway. They have property markers, front line markers. That front property line is dual front property line plus right of way line.
So I have a question on that. Justin, so am I understanding this correctly? Because our town of Hancock has similar roads. So since it's a platted road, the property owners, excuse me, property owners along that road own to the middle of the road, correct?
If it says 777, the town, nobody's paying taxes on that property. And that's what's on this Simonson Road.
If it's platted right of way. And that if it's platted right of way and has been dedicated and shows up on a subdivision plat, no, you do not own to the center of the road, you own to your front property markers. That property, the right of way or the
Yes.
platted area where the roadway exists.
Yes.
That's, a platted roadway and that for road purposes supposed to be maintained, by the town or the county. But that we have that situation throughout that towns elect not to.
We have it in the town as well.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of Todd? Okay. Let's go. That'll conclude the business meeting. Our public hearing, and we'll go to the business meeting. And I'll accept the roll call, so 5 of us here. And motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Just second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Approval of the minutes from Monday.
I so move.
John, George seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Business. Regarding the public hearings, we'll take the first one. Mr. Weiss at N 2477 18th Avenue, Town of Dakota. Is there a preference for anybody here in a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Weiss request.
George makes a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
John Shirk seconds. George, would you please explain your reasons for approving? Or making a motion?
So possible approval reasons, an unnecessary hardship is present. And the current code requirement would be unnecessarily burdensome and prevent the applicant from using the property for permitted use. Because very few alternatives exist. The impacts of construction are being minimized by the placement of the structure. A minimal relaxation of the code is being granted. The circumstances are beyond the control of the applicant and are unique to the property, not the applicant. The lot predates zoning regulations and the construction matches the lot in available area. The hardship, unreasonably burdensome limitation of setbacks is due to unique physical features or limitations of the property and not the circumstances of the applicant. Because very little buildable area exists, the lot depth is very shallow, the setbacks overlap, and overall there's a very small lot size. Variance will not harm the public interest or neighboring land uses and damage the intent of the zoning code because visibility be good at the driveway location. A turnaround is proposed. This would not create a bad situation. The proposed use will not harm the public zoning code or neighboring land uses if conditions are followed. And a literal enforcement of zoning code would be unnecessarily burdensome. Therefore, if approved, the following conditions shall apply. The development must be in substantial compliance with the site plan and testimony provided at the public hearing. The first floor elevation and filling and grading shall be done in accordance with the site plan and additional information provided at the public hearing. All other required setbacks must be complied with. All permits must be obtained, including land use, building, and proper connection to municipal sewer. The applicant is responsible for contacting the county building inspector regarding the applicability of commercial building permits. Any and all exterior storage must be behind a solid fence which screens itself from public roads and neighboring properties. All code requirements must be complied with. It is the responsibility of the builder and landowner to protect the neighboring lots and road during construction. Standard erosion control plans must be in place prior to construction starting. The applicant is responsible for contacting the Department of Natural Resources regarding stormwater requirements. Any future construction cannot occur without first obtaining a variance. The driveway shall meet all code specifications and shall provide suitable turnaround to prevent backing onto the road. The applicant will allow agents of Waushara County to access the property to ensure compliance with the terms of this decision, Waushara County codes, and state and federal laws. The landowner is responsible to maintain good visibility at the driveway entrance. The landowner is responsible for determining lot lines or required setbacks. The building shall not exceed a maximum height of 35 feet.
Thank you, George. You've heard George's reasons for recommendation for approval. We'll take a roll call vote. I'm sure.
Yes.
John Benz.
Yes, to approve.
Jess Urban.
Yes.
George Peterman. Yep. And I vote yes. 5-0, the motion approved. Good luck on your project. You left.
He had another appointment he said this evening.
Okay. I'll take the second one at West 6537 Simonson Lane, Town of Mount Morris. What is the committee boards? What do you want to do with it?
We're having a discussion. I'm just wondering, did we think that we should have a up-to-date plat or survey on that piece of property?
That was in the staff report. That was one of the conditions. Should this be tabled? The condition on the last page is that they're instructed to contact a licensed land surveyor as well as licensed wetland delineator and submit an accurate plat of survey which accurately locates all lines, buildings, drives, patios, walkways, and wetlands.
Then I would so move to table.
All right, I have a motion to table. Is there a second?
I second.
Just seconds.
Do we have a date, gentlemen?
And we're gonna do January 16, 2025. We'll take a vote. John Scherr.
Yes.
George Peterman.
Yes.
John Benz.
Yes.
Jess.
Yes.
Travis Fitzgerald, yes. 5-0 to table it. Required to table till January 16, 2025. And at that time, we should be supplied a licensed lands survey as all white wetland delineator and an accurate plat of survey for all lot lines, buildings, drives, patios, walkways, and wetlands. And will be fully dimension sized. Anything else? Motion passed 5-0 to table it. We do have a zoning board map adjustment.
Yeah, so,
Correct, Todd?
yeah, so Kyle had asked that we, excuse me, he identified, we have a request in right now for sanitary permit, a home building permit, both UDC and land use permit for the north half of this property. When pulling up the zoning maps, it was determined that this property has dual zoning. You can see the line kind of cuts across the property, actually spills onto the adjacent property. We believe that that was an error, that, you know, given the character of that area down there at Spring Lakes Estates, is that this RS 20 probably should have carried on to this property. we're recommending that we just allow staff to make a map adjustment in our GIS informational system. We'll carry that RS throughout the entire parcel, RS-20.
Yeah, that looks like it's all wooded.
Yep.
No wetland or anything else to worry about.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve that.
Mr. Pence, motion to approve. Is there a second? George Peterman, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. A map interpretation correction.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Anything else? Becky, what do we have for next month? One?
We have two now.
We have two variances?
Well, this one that we're just tabling. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's January.
January.
Sorry.
It'll be visual clearance for Gabrielson. The one that had the zone change tonight.
Oh,
It'll be his visual clearance next
on
month.
Leon, is that?
Yes.
Was that down Leon?
For,
Mhm.
yeah, so Gabrielson is proposing on putting, excuse me, a storage, a little warehouse storage area, like right out in front of his, it'd be off to the side, but where the commercial building's gonna be. That actually would encroach upon, given the fact that that's technically a highway or
Where's
a
that?
county highway.
On E.
On Highway E, right across from the Golden Nugget. Do you know where that's what we discussed tonight, was rezoning that property. It's the one that has always the yards, perpetual yard sale.
Oh, yes,
Out front,
I've driven
okay.
by it.
So he's cleaning the property up. One thing he's asking for is that he wants to put a pole shed out in front of the building that will actually cut across, go out inside that. Personally, I don't believe, and I know something that we're gonna talk about. We don't believe from a zoning perspective that there's really any impairment to the visual triangle. And the reason for that is the speeds in that area are 25 miles per hour.
That's right.
You know, even though it's a county highway, he's really getting impacted by the fact that he's got a highway that cuts through a very, very small rural town. Plus, it's an opportunity to keep that property clean.
Is that where Highway E actually ends right there?
It continues, it continues through that town.
Oh, it does.
Yep.
I don't know if we can go with it because county board won't, I don't think they'll have the zone change to go through approval yet. Or can they still apply for it without it,
They can still apply for it.
without being approved
Yep.
for the zone change?
We can approve
Okay.
we can approve the variance. It would fall apart because with the variance, he would have 1 year in which to construct that, but if the zoning falls through, then that would fall through as well.
Any update on any open cases we have or appeals?
So I have not heard a thing, which Ruth says is good news for us. I don't know if we're gonna be, required, well, and actually, though, that really wouldn't affect you guys, because that's planning and zoning, but with regard to, I'm thinking about the Long Lake situation, but outside of that, no, we're good.
We never got a written decision.
No, never got it. And I have Judge Hendy on this one again. Oh. On the planning and zoning case. So,
Okay.
John Shirk, anything else? George, John Benz?
Motion to approve, adjourn.
I didn't ask Jess if he's got anything yet. Jess, you got anything?
No.
Say yes. Now we'll accept your motion, John. Go ahead. I have a motion to adjourn, second. Second. Shirk, seconds, all in favor?
All right.
Thanks for being here, guys.
happy hunting, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I
don't hunt.
I'm not going.
hey Becky,
Do you normally?
I'm gonna run to my mailbox so I can get my